So today is July 18th, is another show from the Jaguars Fan Battle Podcast, a member of the Fan Battle Sports Network. And today we have a very special guest, Sammy Football, being one of them.
Hello, the diversity hire of the show. Hello.
And of course, Mr. Mike Dempsey, the one and only Jacksonville's own.
I appreciate that. Thank you. What's up, guys? Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. We super appreciate it. I don't know about the others, but my Jaguars thought process is essentially made up between you and your co-host show.
It's really nice of you to say. I don't know how to respond to that other than we appreciate you listening, and we just like being, part of the conversation. That's what we are. You know what I mean? Like, our opinions mean no more than anybody else's. Yeah. We just want to be a clearinghouse for people to bring them there and talk about the team we all love.
I was partially kidding there, but I do really enjoy your show. Even though he's gone, even though you kicked him off, I still do enjoy your show. So for those of you that aren't from Jacksonville or don't follow the Jaguars radio shows, Mike Dempsey is one of the hosts from the afternoon show. I guess it's early morning, huh? Or early
10
afternoon.
10 to noon.
Yeah. The Jaguars Today. He's one of the hosts there, and great content every single day, Monday through Friday. So I'm joined also by my co-host Cody Cold.
Hey man, what's up, everybody?
What's up, Cody?
What's going on, Mike?
And so we brought Mike on today to talk a little bit about Jaguars. I'm sure that's what everyone is expecting.
Can I interject for the people who are listening in Jacksonville? Just for the record, I did not kick E off the show. I know you're kidding, but I didn't do that. The man was pulling double duty, doing 6 straight hours, producing 2 shows back to back for months and months and months. And, the life cycle of a producer comes and goes, but we love ET. There's no doubt.
Well, what would happen is somebody would be like, some writer on some Facebook Jaguars group would be like, "Did you hear that?"
Right, the true story comes out,
and then you would just get canceled. So it's a good clarification.
Was he your co-host yesterday, or
he sat in for a segment yesterday?
Okay.
ET's around the bill. I love ET, man. He's like my bro, and I see him every day. It's not like we see each other any less. It's just we're not working directly on the show together. But, he's a talented guy and, got a feature on the Jaguars pregame show last year. And that role may be expanding. It's not my place to talk about that. That's a great guest. If you want to have your next guest on any kind of Jaguar podcast, ET is the life of the party, man. There's no doubt.
What I enjoyed about hearing from ET, I feel like he knew anybody and everybody that was somebody in Jacksonville. It was always fun to hear him talk about, I know him. We go way back.
It's true. And anybody who meets him, it's like they've known him for years. We did a couple of Super Bowls together where we go to Radio Row, and, ET, I'm not young enough to go run with the Bulls anymore. And ET would be rolling in at like 5 a.m., but he'd be ready to roll when we hit the air in the morning. And all these players would be coming up to, "Hey, man, it was a lot of fun." And we're like, wow. You're like just random guys.
He can hang.
He can hang with anybody, Sammy. He's like name dropping. He's like, "Yeah, let me tell you a little bit about what Calvin Johnson's really like." And I'm like, just pump the brakes, brother.
Yeah.
He's impossible to keep up with. Let's say that.
But he did that for a while.
I miss those days. God.
Yeah, we all do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he produced our show for nearly, I want to say 5 years. I brought this up with him on the air. Emmanuel Thalloran, for folks who don't know, ET, very creative. We call him by his initials, but that's what he goes by. And I asked him, I said, "How long have we been doing this?" As we were winding down. And I'm thinking, like, in my head, I have no concept of time. I'm like, 2 years, 2.5. He's like, "Bro, it would be 5 years in November of this season." So I was way off, but time flies, man. He's an asset. He's just, life of the party. He loves the Jaguars, loves Jacksonville. And, he's born and raised and the whole 9 yards. Just can't say enough good things about that guy.
E to the T. Come on, somebody.
E to the T.
Right. So before we get started rolling into Jaguars talk, I just kind of wanted to learn about the man behind the mic. The man that we listen to every day talk about the Jaguars. See maybe what kind of person he is on the outside of those walls at 1010XL. And kind of like we talked before, feel free not to answer any of these. But my question would be, it's kind of 2 parts. So your favorite concert that you've ever been to.
Oh, okay.
And then the second part would be a concert that you would like to go to, whether the person's alive or dead.
All right. The first one's
question.
easy for me. It was the 1989 The Kids Are All Right tour with The Who in Tampa. They played for 3 hours, no opening act, not necessary. Greatest rock band of all time, in my opinion. U2 and The Who are my two favorite bands, but they played it all. If you know The Who, they played everything from Tommy. They played every hit. They played obscure stuff. They just never stopped. I mean, at that time, Roger Daltrey had to be in his late 60s. The guy's like 80 or something. I don't know why. I'm bad with the ages, but they had tons of energy. Easily my favorite concert. Loved it. Went with some guys I worked with, the high school buddies at the time. You know, it was a summer deal. I was in college, and we blew the doors off that thing, man. I would say if I could go see Pink Floyd live, never got a chance to do it, that would probably be the way for me to go. Like, I've seen a lot of the big ones. I've seen the Rolling Stones. I've seen the Eagles, seen the Grateful Dead. I don't, you know, I'm forgetting a bunch of them off the top of my head, but you know, most of the ones I've wanted to see, I've been able to see, but I would say Pink Floyd, probably the one that got away.
Nice.
So does the Mosh Planetarium not count?
No, but you know, they do. I think I love that kind of stuff. You know, the laser light shows that they do and all that.
It's fun.
Yeah, so I think it's very cool. You know, so you know, look, we had plenty of pseudo Pink Floyd concerts in my dorm room back in the day. All right, you know, throw Delicate Sounds of Thunder on repeat or whatever. You know, and you know, they're timeless to me. I just love some of the classic rock bands.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And I'm sure you saw the news coming out. I guess Leonard Skinner, right, will be playing. Was it this year or next year?
Yeah, I mean, imagine seeing the original Leonard Skinner before the plane crash, right? Like, I mean, they're legends, you know. They're Jacksonville legends. Their gym teacher, Leonard Skinner, is a legend. You know, who they named the band after. I think they went to Forest High School, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
You know, who doesn't get down to like Leonard Skinner Golden Platinum? Just every hit is a mega hit on that thing. You know, you can play that all day. So,
yeah.
Sam or Cody, you guys got any questions for him outside of Jaguar related?
Oh yeah,
outside of Jaguar related.
Sammy's like, let's get to the Jaguars. Come on.
I'm here for the good stuff.
Hey, who cares what concert Dempsey went to in 1989? This is ridiculous,
right? I was only 3, man. I'm just kidding.
Hey, good for you. You know, I was not. I was 20 going on 21 at the time.
God, that's crazy to me. But okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry, Cody.
That's all right. Oh yeah, so one of your things is coming up with nicknames. You got DD, Fat Tony, ET. You recently came up with.
I have Hacker and B for both mine too. So,
you did Hacker?
Oh, I had Hacker. Hacker was easy. He came in one day. He was an intern. Wow. At 9:30 when we were all over at the other sports station years and years ago, and he was interning on my show, and he came in, you know, buttoned up, khakis, little golf shirt, probably buttoned all the way up to the collar, and I'm like, man, like this guy rolled in off the PGA Tour. I'm like, he must be some kind of golfer, and he's like, you know, if you know Hacker, if you don't, this will go right over your head. But he goes, dude, Matheny beats me. Matheny was my producer at the time, Jason Matheny. Who worked, if you go back to Chris McClain, he worked over at the Ball back in the day, you know, with Cole Pepper and all those guys. And I played with Jason Matheny, and he was terrible. So I'm like, oh, so he beats you. You got to be some kind of hacker. And that's all it took. And he was Ryan the Hacker from that point on. And to the point now where he calls his son Little Hack. So I feel like
that's funny.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Huh.
I actually have a funny story about like the network in general, and then of course AFC South Fan Battle. So it was actually one of your old producers. Was he a producer? He worked at 1010 that convinced us to create this into a podcast. His name is Matt.
Okay.
Younger kid, and I think he worked there like Sundays. He did something with like the game shows. Anyways, he was like, he had seen the group. And it had grown so big so fast. And he's like, that's just such great content. You should make that into a podcast. And he actually helped us. This was like 5 seasons ago. So like cool. Yeah, so it was actually one of the guys there. I don't think he's there anymore, but yeah, it was.
No, we got a lot
somebody
of
from 1010.
a lot of producers come and go. That's kind of the
Yeah.
nature of the job. But
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, he was younger at the time. Like I said, I think he did like Sunday game time, something or other. I can't recall exactly what he did, but
gotcha.
but yeah, he was the one that was like, "You guys should totally do this," and so we did. That's how this all
He
happened.
should get residuals from you now, right?
Right? Cut it out.
So yeah, as far as the nickname thing goes, like he recently came up with Dylan Denmark or Pockets thanks to the rap name generator.
Yeah, that was just a silly thing. You know, I don't know if that's going to stick, but it's only been like 2 weeks, so you know,
it's sticking in my mind. Like it's
right.
one of the funniest things. And he does the intro like "Hold my pocket."
Yeah,
now
he
on
does.
the radio too. So
yeah,
I think even
he uses that quite a bit.
Yeah.
You know, hey, look, as long as people are talking about you, it's you know, and it's not in a horrible way. It's probably not a bad thing to get known for something. So
yeah. So my question was,
even a bad thing. Whatever.
Yeah. So my question was, I was wondering if you can come up with a nickname for me.
Oh gosh,
it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be right now. You know.
All right, I'll work on it. All right, yeah. I don't know you well enough yet to know, but it doesn't take much. You know, if something sticks in my mind, you'll want me to tell it to you in private first because people have a tendency to get stuck with whatever we put on them on the radio.
Oh, I'm good with that. I'm gonna put it as my Twitter handle and everything.
All right, we'll see. I'll work on it.
Watch, it's gonna come out and be something like Cody the Turd or something like that.
No. Probably not. You know, I'll put that off the list for now, and don't worry.
Put a pin in it.
All right, sweet.
And then I guess another question I had was, I know you had gone to the mountains recently, I believe, right, for a trip. And you had gotten a pack of sports cards. Now I'm huge into memorabilia collecting, like this Travis Etienne helmet I have right here signed by him. I had and sports cards as well. Did you open that pack? Or packs?
Yeah, I bought 3 packs because I found an old pack of baseball cards at the house, right? Like unopened from the late 80s. And I'm like, it might be fun to open them up, see if we get any big time players. And they're all duds. Like every card in the pack was a dud. I'm like, wait a minute, this is a football show anyway. And my son's big into the whole comic book graphic novel collecting. I was too. And, you know, it's kind of a family tradition. And so we went to a sports card / comic book shop up in Asheville, North Carolina. And I noticed they had old packs of football cards. And I thought if I buy some 96 cards, usually the year reflects the previous year's players, and maybe I'll get some, you know, Jaguar inaugural season cards in there. But as it turned out, the 96 pack, the series I bought 3 packs of them, were all like that year's cards. Like, so you had there's a Kevin Hardy rookie card in that series, for instance. So there's only 200 cards in the pack. We've opened 2 of the 3, and they only come with 7 in a pack. So we've had 14 cards out of 200, but one of them was the James Stewart Jaguar card. There's only 5 Jags out of 200 in the whole thing. So it's just kind of a fun thing to go down memory lane. We did it with Tom McManus on the air, just kind of let him reflect. Yeah, you know, Tom, for folks who don't know, or maybe, you know, out of the market, I imagine most people listen to this know, former middle linebacker for the Jags. So he played against all these guys in that era. So it was kind of fun for him to reflect on, like James Stewart, who, you know, he talked about what a gym rat he was. James Stewart could, like, I don't know, was it deadlifting or it might have been benching like 400, like just like throwing it up there like 5 or 6 times. Like the guy's a freak. He's a personal trainer now. He's in immaculate shape. Looks like he could play to this day, but and a really good player for the Jags too, back in the day too.
Yeah, that's cool. So you still have some more packs to open?
I got one more, and I bought some from the 2022 series because they have Trevor Lawrence on the outside of the pack, and I'm like, I got a few of those.
The second year cards,
you know. And look, and every time we do this, someone will text into the program, "Oh, it must be a really dead time, slow news day." Yes. Like it's July, it's early July. If you haven't noticed, the entire NFL is shut down. So if there's ever a time to do it,
for the Titans, because they were going off yesterday.
Well, they're, you know, they need something. They feel bad about themselves, and they should. God. You know, I mean, look, this is all prior to Evan Ingram signing his franchise tender, so that was news. It was great. We talked about that all day on Monday, and now, you know, we're just got training camp coming up, but. Yeah, there's not a whole lot going on, but look, let's just address this too, because I think Jaguar fans, look, we all hate the Titans, right? And it's understandable. But if you're being realistic, DeAndre Hopkins is not a washed-up football player. He's a good football player. And granted that Calvin Ridley is a big addition to the Jags as well. But as of 3 or 4 days ago, where the Titans were, they've gotten better. There's no question about it. I still think the Jags have the most talent in the division, and it starts with Trevor Lawrence. He is so far ahead of the class of quarterbacks in the AFC South. And when you got the coach-quarterback combo like they have, I mean, I'm not fearful of anything as a Jag fan, but I don't think it hurts to acknowledge that Tennessee got better with the signing of DeAndre Hopkins. But Tyson Campbell will lock him down. Not worried about it.
I said that the Titans went from below average to mid. So congratulations.
Yeah, they're
to
mid.
them.
That's good for them. Mid is good. You know.
Yeah.
My college age son laughs every time I try to use any young person vernacular. So mid is one that gets him to roll his eyes pretty easily.
Don't you?
You're in radio. You have to stick up with the time, so you're relatable to your audience.
But at the same time, the audience is not stupid. They know who I am. You know what I mean?
Right,
they know I'm not this cutting edge, up to the moment. in certain departments, I'm up to the moment on the Jags and the NFL. What I need to be. A lot of my pop culture references are a little bit dated, so it's a good thing we got Dylan Denmark in there to, bring the average age of the program down a little bit.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I feel like nowadays.
Yeah, I like that though. It keeps it classic. Like I can go back to and listen to your show from a couple of years ago, and it still stays the same. And I don't have to learn new lingo to understand it.
Right.
Well, the best thing is, Cody, is that it's changing. Is that we're not going, damn, how many losses in a row is this? Right? I mean, now we're like excited.
Oh my God.
With reason to believe it's sustainable. I mean, we all went crazy in 2017, and rightfully so. And look, we love Blake. We love the boat, right? Everybody loves Blake Bortles. But every time he went out there, you were praying that he didn't lose the game for you, and you had an epic defense in 2017 that created so many turnovers and scored so many touchdowns that year. And that's just not sustainable. Now we got a guy that none of us, I talked about this on the air today. Trevor Lawrence's deal could average $60 million a season. And it won't be an overpay. It sounds crazy, right? But we know the market goes up. We don't know where Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert's contracts are going to come in. And, if you're the Jags, I want to sign him to something like Mahomes signed. Mahomes signed 10 years, $450 million, right? Give me an 8-year deal with Trevor Lawrence. I want there to be no issues whatsoever. Then when you're bargaining with the city on getting this new stadium financed for 2026, 2027, get it remodeled, rebuilt, whatever. You point and say, look, we got this guy locked up. He's going to be at the height of his powers in his mid to late 20s. And, I love the fact that Donna Deegan, the new mayor, has been a lifelong Jag fan, been a season ticket holder the whole time. She was at the ribbon cutting ceremony today. That facility, the Miller Electric Center, which is there for rehab and training and practice and so many different things, is so cutting edge, state of the art that you can it boggles the mind to think what the stadium itself will actually be like if they can complete the vision, which I'm sure we're all on board with that happening.
I am just
for sure.
happy my dad, I've had season tickets since I was 9, so I can't say I bought them, because child labor laws, I wasn't allowed to yet make money, but my family has had them since inaugural year. And it's like crazy, the slow progression. Like Jacksonville has always been so far behind, so decades behind, it's always the fight. Like, we want to progress, but we don't want to spend the money. And it's like, I'm so happy that things are finally happening for the Jaguars that are like, we can finally put the whole moving narrative behind us, because they wouldn't dump this much money here if they planned on moving the team, and I'm just so happy to finally see like things moving along with the team as far as facilities and just excitement. And it feels good to be a Jaguars fan.
There's no question, Sammy. Look, if they get the deal done, there will never be a question again. But if they don't get the deal done, the lease only runs through 2030. So they have to get the deal done. There's no other way around it. If you want to continue to have the Jacksonville Jaguars for many decades to come, so our children and their children can enjoy them and be part of the legacy of Jaguar fandom, and hopefully many, many Lombardi trophies coming to Duval, you got to get it done. But I think all sides understand that. I think there's going to be some tense moments because that's how big money negotiating is. It just is. But I mean, there are plenty of cities where an owner of a franchise would just go to the city and say, you pay for the whole thing or I'm out of here. That's just the way it is. And
Houston
Sean Conant has not done that. You know, the guy's invested so much in this team. He spent more free agency money than like anybody since he bought the team. So that's a tremendous outlay of cash. And, you know, this performance center, they want to revitalize with a 4 Seasons hotel. They have a vision. And this is a guy who came to America. He's the classic American success story. A couple $100 in his pocket, goes to school, builds an empire on automobile bumpers of all things, you know, and to the point now where he is literally one of the richest owners in the National Football League. Happy birthday, by the way, 73 years young.
Oh, it's his birthday today?
Yes.
Happy birthday, Sean.
God, I look like he does when I'm 73, man. I hope I make it at 73. But, you know, by the way, I imagine billions of dollars buys you pretty good health care as well. So there's that. But let's get this thing done. No doubt.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited about that.
So kind of staying on the same topic, from the media's perspective, what is it like covering the Jaguars from, you know, after the AFC Championship run in 2017 versus this past year? What's the offseason like, the comparison?
Oh, well, I mean, that offseason was exciting, right? I mean, a lot of us were picking the Jags to go to the Super Bowl in 2018, and it kind of fell apart. The big difference here, and look, I say the big difference. There's a lot of differences. You know you have the quarterback. There's no smoke and mirrors with this thing. All right. We all expected Trevor Lawrence to be great. He had to shake off Urban Meyer. We call him Urban Miller because he couldn't get any players' names right. So why should we say his name right? I mean, you know.
I will never forgive him for Josh Lambo, ever.
James, the running back. Like, you don't know James Robinson's name? Like, what? Anyway, so the big difference, you know, you got a quarterback and you got a proven Super Bowl head coach. But the intangible difference is, you know, back then everyone's jockeying who's getting paid, who's getting this. Look, Evan Ingram got paid this offseason. It wasn't a big free agency year, but this is more about a we versus me situation. I know that sounds cliche, but, you know, we got to give a few credit to Trent Baalke for helping build a locker room that's got really good football culture, that it's not a me thing. There's nobody showing up in a Brinks truck saying, pay this man, bringing his own hype man with him in Jalen Ramsey, and then faking an injury when he didn't get what he wanted immediately. I mean, you know, I can't imagine this with this football team, that these guys really, I mean, I'm not trying to be Pollyanna, but they're fun to root for. You know, that is a big difference. It's a group that you feel like is not going to squander the opportunity. It doesn't guarantee that they're going to have the ultimate success, but it won't be for, you know, I don't believe for people pulling in a bunch of different directions. I think they've got a common vision, and led by Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence, I think they're on mission to fulfill it.
That's what I said. Different Doug, better QB. That's the difference.
Yeah. And by the way, I love Doug Marrone. Doug Marrone's as down-to-earth everyman as you'll find.
Yeah, he was super cool.
Coach in the NFL. But, you know, was Doug Peterson's more proven. He's got a better track record. You know, that cachet of being a Super Bowl champ and doing it with Nick Foles, you know. I mean, you got better raw material at the quarterback position. There's no question about it. So wouldn't you have loved to see the Jags go up against that Nick Foles-led team, and so close that year, too?
Yeah.
We'll have our shots.
So moving on to,
I hope so.
I know you probably already talked about it, but this is the most fresh news that's come out of Jacksonville in a while, right? Evan Ingram finally signing the 3-year contract versus the tender. What does that mean for the team moving forward? Now, I know there's a lot of really positive implications. You know, that's one less franchise tag that we have to possibly worry about next year that we can use on somebody else instead of having to figure out, okay, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. There's continuity there with Trevor Lawrence and him. What about like Brenton Strange's growth, I guess? Will that affect that there at all?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of positives here, right? You mentioned a couple. I think one is the locker room sees if you sign a guy to a prove-it contract and he proves it, they're willing to pay him. right? And they got it done. And Evan Ingram is ecstatic to be here. I mean, we all have seen the tweets, how he's home. He loves being in Jacksonville. I'm not around practice every single day due to the nature of when I'm on the air, but the people who are all will tell you Evan Ingram may be the hardest working player on that team. So you want to reward those kind of guys. You don't now, as you mentioned, like next year, Calvin Ridley's playing on his 5th-year option. So is Josh Allen. If you need the tag for one of them, well, it's available now. You don't have to worry about we've got to move on from Evan Ingram. It just gives you some continuity. It gives Trevor, what do you want to do? You got a young quarterback. Surround him with weapons, man. That's what Peyton Manning's Colts did all the time. They leaned into it. All right, defense, we'll worry about that. We got Freeney and Mathis. We'll worry about the rest later. Let's keep giving him weapon after weapon after weapon, and let's maximize what we've got. And I think that's what the Jags have tried to do over the last couple of free agency cycles, and obviously trading for Ridley. So, signing Ingram is a great thing here. Doug Peterson has shown the ability. Look, they won the Super Bowl with Zach Ertz, and they turned around and drafted Dallas Goedert and, leaned into that. And they used Trey Burton a lot during that Super Bowl run as well. He's the one who threw that Philly special pass. But look, Brenton Strange, rookie tight ends don't typically light the world on fire. So anything Brenton Strange contributes this year is almost a bonus. And while it's a 3-year deal for Evan Ingram, is it more like a 2-year deal with a team option on that 3rd year? Is it kind of a balloon payment? And when you look at the salary cap implications, his cap number went from like 11.5 down to 5. So the other thing is the Jags now have nearly $22 million under the cap. Now you can roll that all over if you don't use it and apply that perhaps to a Trevor Lawrence extension or some free agent acquisitions next year. Or anybody here like a pass rusher, right? Like, I mean, could we add a pass rusher or 3? They've got the money if they have an injury, if they need to make a move, or if they decide they want to make a move. They have the wherewithal to do it now. They have some flexibility, and they don't have to just sign a $2 million veteran. They can go out there if they wanted to, consider bringing Yannick Ngakoue back, or Justin Houston, or Melvin Ingram, or one of these guys that has a track record of getting quarterbacks on the ground. They've got the ability to do it. So will they? I think most Jaguar observers think that they're kind of pumping the brakes to see what they look like in training camp in that aspect. But still a lot of them out there on the market, and I'm holding out hope that they sign one.
Mike, if they bring Ngakoue back, will you ask him to unblock me on Twitter?
I'll ask, but there's no guarantees. What did you do, Sammy, to get the block is the question.
So do you remember when he was like getting really upset at the end of the season? He kept doing the whole give me my money
Yes,
stuff.
Sure.
And then we were like, fine, bye. So he had tweeted something when Jalen Ramsey did the Bussin' with the Boys podcast. Which I know the guys love to say, I love Jalen Ramsey, but I'm bitter about Jalen Ramsey after everything that went down. So Ngakoue posted Truth Hurts after that episode aired. And so I reposted Lizzo lyrics and I said, yes, Truth Hurts needed something more exciting. New man on the Minnesota Vikings. Oh, wait, I mean Ravens. Oh, wait, I mean Raiders.
Right. Truth hurts. Here's the truth. And look, I would love Jan.
And then he blocked me.
Well, but Jan's what they need, right? Jan is a guy who's automatic upgrade to the pass rush. And I think he sees himself, though, at 28 years old, as still a starter in the league. And the Jags don't have that position to offer him. They're not putting Trayvon Walker or Josh Allen on the bench. So, that's why I lean towards Justin Houston, who's 34 years old, but got acclimated to playing that role for Baltimore last year and had 9.5 sacks off the bench. I mean, and they did it for like $4 million. Here's the truth about Jan. He can't play the run, and everyone knows it. So he's a liability when he's on the field on first and second down, and he has bounced around. And had he taken the contract offer that the Jags had put on the table, he would have been so much ahead financially where he is now, but he overvalued himself. And look, you're worth what someone's willing to pay you. That's what they say. It's capital.
It seems like with that defense in particular, that they all kind of, because they were so good all together. I mean, you obviously like Jalen Ramsey, I hate to say it, was worth more. But it seems like they all kind of did that. They all overvalued themselves. They all kind of went out. But
and Jalen's great. And I have no quarrel with him wanting more money. My quarrel is if you fake an injury and don't play, you're quitting. on your team. And I cannot abide that. I'll never forgive Jalen Ramsey. And people tell me all the time, get over it, get over it.
No,
it's not like I'm going to show up at his house and egg it. You know, I just
why
don't
not
respect him because I don't know where he lives.
Can we maybe
get the address, Sammy? Let's talk offline.
All right. Yeah, that's actually sounds like he is in Miami now. Just kidding, Jalen Ramsey. You're listening. I would never egg your house.
Do that. If you get egg on your house, it's not us.
It was not us. No.
Yeah, it was me.
Maybe it was good. Yeah,
I'm in a tough place there. I was gonna say I'm a tough place there. I'm a big Florida State fan, so I absolutely love what he did for us up in Tallahassee. The way he left Jacksonville, still a little sour about that one.
You know what about that though? Like I'm a Florida State fan as well, but I totally separate college fandom from pro fandom.
Yeah, I did not know that.
Yeah, I love Fred Taylor, man. I love him. Every time the Gators lose, I stick it to Fred on the post-game show every single week. I let him know, and then he starts bringing up 97 and all that. I love it. And, hey, that's the thing. The whole debate about if the Jags do get a stadium deal, where should they play? Right? Should it be Gainesville? Should it be Orlando? Should it be Daytona? And a lot of us at 1010 have said Gainesville makes the most logical sense. And then I hear on social media, oh, you're a bunch of Gator homers. And you're like, what does that have to do with anything? I just don't understand that. It's a pre-made stadium. It's close geographically. Like you don't have to pour an extra $100 million into the upgrade. I don't care where they play.
Oh, I saw. Was it you, Cody, that said I refuse to go to the swamp? Was that you?
No, it wasn't.
You're a Georgia fan.
Yeah, I'm a Georgia fan. I wouldn't be bothered by going to Gainesville and just to watch the Jags play. The only thing, like the parking in Gainesville, I know that would suck, and the traffic. I mean, it's just back roads to get there or whatever. That's why I would pick Daytona over the swamp.
I live 45 minutes from the Speedway, so I'm right there with you. But
but after hearing your news today about how they, if they would be able to host a playoff game there, that kind of took me off a little bit.
Yeah,
wait, playoff game.
The president of the Speedway was on 1010 yesterday, right? And they asked him like, hey, January rolls around, we expect this team to be good. What happens if the Jags have a home playoff game and you've got the Rolex 24 Hours of Daytona? And he basically said, well, come January 1st, racing's our priority. Well, how's that? That's a non-starter. I mean, usually the regular season ends in early January. And I mean, look, you got a 27-year-old, roughly Trevor Lawrence leading a 13-4 Jaguar team. And now we've earned the right to have a home playoff game. So let's go play in a facility that we haven't played in all year. It kind of negate now, even though you'd have more fans localized, it would negate some of that comfort level of playing. I don't know. I mean, I can't speak for the Jags.
Couldn't you? We probably could. I mean, I guess you could play a playoff game in another stadium close by.
Well, you could. That's the thing. Like, could you play the regular season in Daytona and then play the playoffs in Gainesville? You could, but would it feel
or even one of the
like
other
a home field advantage?
Yeah, I guess depending on the outcome, it could be. We got Atlanta, New Orleans, Tampa, and Miami all close. So
I think that would be even worse though for Jaguars.
Yeah,
like go take a trip to Atlanta to go see your team play, and then you're really and it's the same thing. Whether it's not that you
just for a playoff, I feel like maybe like a playoff,
right?
game.
But that's the most important time of the year, and you've earned the right to have that comfort level of sleeping in your own bed and not playing a road game and having your routine not be interrupted. And I don't know. I mean, again, I can't speak for the Jags. Maybe that would not be as big an issue for them, but it really made my ears perk up when I heard him say that.
Well,
I went to that. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just saying, well, especially when you're at that level, that elite of a level, the little things like the routines. I mean, that's a big difference maker.
I mean, they lost to the Chiefs by 7 in the playoffs last year, right? If that game's in Jacksonville, is it different? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe not, right? I mean, it's not a guarantee of success, but there's a reason why you play for home field advantage, Anyway.
That's true, because I think about that Green Bay, was it New Orleans game that they played in Jacksonville?
Right.
Oh, what a boring game. That was such a boring game.
Right. You don't have your home.
I don't even remember the second half because I was like, I'm just going to drink because this game sucks.
Hey, good idea. I will say this. I think we'd all agree will put up with any inconvenience for 2 years, because if they have that inconvenience, it means they got the deal done. And we're going to have a new stadium. And in 2028, we're going to be like, man, it was all worth it. It was all worth it. Let's go win a Super Bowl in Daytona. I don't care. The Super Bowl still counts. It still counts. It still belongs to the Jaguar fandom. And by the way, we got 3 full seasons before we get there. Let's win 1 or 2 before then as well. So, and then let's open things up in 2028.
What about, so I had read news out of Gainesville. I guess they had proposed like an $900 million upgrade for their stadium.
But they're doing that anyway. They're renovating their stadium regardless.
Will that affect us being able to utilize their facilities? I don't know if that has that come out.
I've heard we're getting a little onto thin ice in terms of my expertise here. So I certainly, it's an issue that would have to be worked through. I can't tell you definitively whether that would preclude any. I put it this way: I haven't heard anything to suggest that Gainesville and Orlando are not interested. And we all know that there's a renovation. I heard Hayes Carline talking about this with Frank Frangie about a week or so ago on 1010, and Hayes said this might be something that if this goes down, they put off that renovation, because obviously you don't want to move because of renovation into a facility that's undergoing a kind of a pardon our dust situation there.
I mean, to be fair, we could have the Buccaneers go play at Camping World, and we could play at their stadium, because now that Tom Brady's retired, their attendance is going to drop anyways. So
you would think
that's an option.
You would think. You're not confident Baker Mayfield's going to return him to glory there. Did I take it that you're a Gator fan, Sammy?
Yes.
Yeah. So
you
don't believe Kyle Trask is going to make them the talk of the NFC? Come on.
I believe that's Kyle Trash is what you meant
Come
to say.
on.
I believe that just as much as I believe Anthony Richardson will help the Colts beat the Jaguars at home this year.
Hey, we have a vested interest.
Not going to happen.
Not happening, right? So,
not going to happen.
No.
Not going to happen.
I don't know I'm sure you'd seen this news come out, but Tom Coughlin, I guess, is semifinals for the Hall of Fame.
Finally.
What can we do? What do we need to do to get him into Canton?
I don't really think there's anything you can do. This is like, it's one thing we used to, Tony Smith and I, my co-host on Jaguars Today, would petition voters. We knew the list is available, who the voters are for the player list. You've got like 15 years of eligibility. And so we would get guys on and we'd ask them, what do you think about Tony Baselli? Or Fred Taylor made it to the semifinal stage. Fred has yet to make it to the finalist group, but Tony had a few times. And we, would talk him up, and to a man, they'd all say, yeah, he's deserving. And obviously he got in. There was a bit of a log jam on the offensive line. It's different with Tom, because you've got, on the one side, you got the seniors committee, and then he is under the coaches and contributors committee, which is a completely different group. I wouldn't even begin to know who to, kind of lobby on behalf of Tom Coughlin. But
sounds like the government. What the heck?
Right. You would have, it's that's the thing of it, Sam. Everything's political, right? The Hall of Fame's political. If Tony Baselli had played in New York, he probably would have been in the Hall of Fame years ago. If he had played a few more seasons, not his fault, he would have been in the Hall of Fame years ago.
Taylor.
Freddie T is hurt by the fact that he only made 1 Pro Bowl. Some of that probably because he played in a small market, although he played in an era where there were ridiculous running backs performing in the AFC. But Coughlin, just point to his resume. 2 AFC title games with an expansion team in the first 5 years, built the franchise from the ground up, then went and won 2 Super Bowls, including beating arguably the greatest single season team of all time in the undefeated Patriots. Tom Coughlin's there's zero doubt in my mind Tom Coughlin will be in the Hall of Fame. Honestly, when you look at that coaches and contributors list, his resume looks better than most of them. But you do have guys like Bob Kraft on there. I mean, he's the owner, but got a lot of Super Bowl rings himself, and only 1 person goes in off of that list every year. So I would imagine Tom Coughlin is not an immediate Hall of Fame inductee.
So does it not count? Because I know, like the College Football Hall of Fame, they have to be out for X amount of years, not be involved in any way for the college football. So is it not the same requirements for the NFL Hall of Fame?
I don't know, like for
but I guess if he's an owner, it doesn't matter.
Right. An owner's going to own it forever. Right. And I do remember this coming up when Bill Parcells was like in and out and people would try to lure him back. And there was this whole talk about it would restart his Hall of Fame clock. I mean, Coughlin being the executive VP or whatever his title was with the Jags, I don't think impacts that at all. I think, if he were to take another head coaching gig, then maybe it would restart the clock. But his resume is written at this point, and it's definitely a Hall of Fame resume. Not too many guys with 2 Super Bowl rings as head coach.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Brandon Scherff, I don't know if you'd seen ESPN put out a list of the top 10, I think the top 10 inside linemen, and they put Brandon Scherff in there. Do you think that's a nod to Brandon Scherff and the line, or
I didn't see where he fell. Did he fall in the top 10, or was he like others receiving votes or what have you? I would imagine it was probably more the latter.
That's a good question. I had only seen he landed as a top 10 interior lineman.
I'll say this. Well, if he did land in the top 10, that's great. Brandon Scherff's had a fantastic career. He's been a 5-time Pro Bowler, right? And I'm the first to admit you should not trust anybody on the radio who didn't play the game when they start breaking down offensive line play. Like, I don't think most of us sit there and focus in on that. And if you do, and you really know what you're talking about, God bless you, more power to you. I'd rather just rely on a guy like Tony Baselli, who, we've discussed. And Tony, his observation, he was talking about this on Monday, I believe it was, saying, look, he probably didn't play as great as he has in years past with Washington. He didn't play at that Pro Bowl level. But when you combine him playing good with the impact he had on the professionalism of that group, playing through injury, he was hurt down the stretch, but he knew that something special was happening, and he wouldn't take himself out of the lineup, which is a hat tip to him. It's funny, right? We talk about the Pro Bowl and what it means, and you look at Fred Taylor, and you look at the numbers, and you look at the fact that Jim Brown used to call Fred Taylor the best running back in the game. I mean, Jim freaking Brown. I mean, what more do you want on your resume? I feel like Brandon Scherff probably is benefiting from his resume. He's a 5-time Pro Bowler, and he's still a good player. I don't know if he's an elite in the top 10 interior offensive lineman. Again, I can't evaluate those guys as well as a Baselli could, so I'll defer to him. But very happy the Jags have him. Let's put it that way.
Right. It's nice to see that Jacksonville's starting to get some acknowledgement for the talent that we have and the seasons that we had. Because there have been seasons past where maybe our record was very below 500, but we did have some talented players that didn't get the recognition that maybe they deserved.
So what Mike Dempsey is saying right now is all the times that Samantha Wernette, aka Sammy Football, talked crap about Andrew Norwell, that she had no business doing so because she never played football.
I'm not saying
I'm just
that.
kidding.
I mean, you can tell when a guy plays poorly, right? You can tell when the guy swings the gate open and gets your quarterback killed. But I'm talking about like the nuances of the game.
I was like, what is he doing? We would show tape. I'm like, what is he doing? You're literally like,
with Norwell. Norwell was an All-Pro and was not voted to the Pro Bowl that year. Like, All-Pro is a higher level than the Pro Bowl. So technically, Andrew Norwell has never been to a Pro Bowl. But he's a one-time first-team All-Pro, so go figure.
Yeah, I was like, when we gave him that contract, I was like, "Excuse me, did they not see the same thing I did?" Because
honestly, I didn't know much about who he was before he signed here because I don't pay much attention to other teams' interior offensive linemen if they're not playing in the AFC South, and if they are, I pay attention more based on their reputation more than I'm not like breaking down Ben Jones of the Titans,
yeah,
it's not my thing. So,
all right, Cody, do you have any questions for him?
I just think it's cool that the play on words with their nicknames. Brandon Scherff is protecting T-Law.
Not bad.
Oh yeah, that's true. I didn't even think about that. The sheriff and the law. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. We go to uniforms for our next topic. Yeah, so I just wanted to ask this. I was wondering if you could help start a new uniform trend for the Jags. And I know that's a lot. I know that's a lot to put on your plate, but the only reason I'm saying this is it's something that I noticed a lot of fans want. The uniforms that we have now are from the Tom Coughlin era 2.0. They were very plain Jane, black lettering, nothing flashy. It doesn't have the badge or the outlines and all that stuff. And I think it's time with a new practice facility, a new stadium incoming, and new faces of the Jaguars for fans and players to have some new drip.
Do you want new or do you want throwback? because that's what I hear from Jaguar fans the most. Give us those 90s unis.
Yes.
Maybe with the updated Jaguar head logo on them, which I like so much more than the old logos. Honestly, the uniforms, I'm not a uniform guy. Like the only, as long as you don't give me another two-toned helmet.
Thank you. Thank you.
And please,
I hated that helmet.
I hated the helmet. It was like it was unfinished, right? They ran out.
Yes, that's what I said.
Like gold it looked like been okay,
Oh my god,
didn't like
it. Same thing. Same thing I said. Thank you, Mike Dempsey.
I hate black jerseys and black pants. Players like it because it makes them look tough, they think, or something. But so many, it's teal. Teal is your color, right? I mean, little gold accents and black accents and all. Teal is the Jaguars, you know. And
well, how come we've never done Jaguar print? I know it's kind of like, you know, girly or feminine maybe, but a little bit here and there wouldn't hurt anybody. Come on.
I mean, you know, as an alternate, you know, design something, Sammy, you know, suggest it, you know, make sure you trademark it first, though.
And tell the kids to get me a coloring book when I get done.
There you go. Right. So you want, Cody, you want new uniforms entirely? Is that what you want?
I mean, it's just that I like the teal. I like the ideas that you're putting up. And I think that like a lot of the stuff that I've seen out there, as far as like fan inspired uniform designs are, you know, better than what we have now. And I think that a lot of them are asking for it in general. Like even you said the throwback uniforms are pretty cool too. The concepts of those seeing like T-Law, you know, or whatever. It was just really cool to see for me. And it's just been forever. Like, you know, like I said, with the Tom Coughlin 2.0 era, which is something that we're out of and beyond of, you know, now. So yeah.
Well, I'll say this: we're locked in for 2023 at least. So I'm with you. I see some fan inspired stuff like Matthew, that teal helmet, right, over your shoulder. Who wouldn't want that, right? I think those look fantastic, you know. But I don't know this for a fact, but I got to imagine who's the uniform suppliers at Nike, Reebok. I honestly don't know. Look on your tag there, Cody. It's probably Nike, right? So, you know, you probably have to go within Nike's parameters and stuff. But I think if a team went to Nike and said, "Look, this is the look we want," you know, make it modern, but this is the basic look we want, they work for you. So it could get done. I'm more worried about, you know, and I'm sure you all are as well, the talent in those uniforms than anything else. So, you know, you can wear all white. If you win the Super Bowl, I don't really care.
It's like that Cat Williams sketch. Did you see it? Great America.
I don't know. I know who Cat Williams is. I may have seen it, but
oh my gosh, you have to watch. Just watch the first 10 minutes of Great America by Cat Williams. He goes on a tangent about Jacksonville, and he says, in Jacksonville, there's stuff that's not the top is the top. And he's talking about the Jaguars. And he says, forget all them stats and accolades. He says that our players look like models on the sidelines because our uniforms look so good. No. So it's a slight to the Jaguars, but it's also funny because he filmed it in Jacksonville. So
yeah, I wouldn't, you know, exactly say Cat Williams' style is my taste. So maybe he wouldn't be the best judge for what I would like.
Yeah.
That way.
But at least he gave us a compliment, right? It may not be how good the team is, but yes, I would rather that. Please
get ready for it, though. Sam. You know what's going to happen, everybody, right? I mean, the bandwagon is getting ready to get filled up, and
it's already starting.
It is, and that can be frustrating too, because you know people like to crap on Jacksonville, they like to crap on the Jags. People who've never been there, they have this outdated impression of what the city is like. First of all, hope you never set foot in the city. We got enough people here. I love it.
Yes.
In Northeast Florida, you know, like y'all don't know what the hell you're talking about, but now it's going to swing. The pendulum's going to swing to the other side, and you're going to have people tell you, "Oh, I've always liked the Jags. I've always thought that, you know, I've always thought that." Well, look, Trevor Lawrence, it's like low hanging fruit. Everybody knew as soon as Frank Gore got a first down for the Jets, clinching that win, that Trevor Lawrence was going to be a Jacksonville Jaguar. So it's not like, you know, it took much to see that they had a chance to really turn things around coming, but everybody wants a piece of it now.
Yes.
I say bring them all. I love it.
It's better than the alternative, right? You know,
that means we're doing something right.
People want to be associated with it now.
Yes. And also, like I said, I'm a big sports card collector, and Trevor Lawrence cards are skyrocketing right now. So
yeah, there you go.
Sam, anything else from you? Questions?
I was just going to ask you specifically. Even the other day, when I was out of town, I heard that you had given us a shout out on your show, and my family in particular listens to your show. My dad every day, so I'm like, Dad, were you listening to Mike Dempsey this morning? And he's like, yeah, why? I was like, he gave me a shout out on the show. He's like, oh, I didn't hear it. He probably didn't care, but that's besides the point. You've been doing this for a long time. You're kind of like in everyone's like living rooms, cars, driving to work and stuff like that. And so everybody kind of knows you, and you become the voice of the Jaguars. Really don't tell anybody else I said that. But what is all the time that you spent doing this, all the time that you've been here in Jacksonville? If you had to break down your favorite moment with this team, what would that be? It's a big one.
It is a big one. Is usually one of my go-tos. Okay. So I can't say for sure. First of all, let me just say tremendous opportunity. I mean, I'm so lucky to do the job I've done. And I really appreciate the fans of Jacksonville and the listening audience for accepting me for as long as they have. And, having a chance to kind of chronicle the team that we all love so much. And so I have some great personal relationships with Maurice Jones-Drew and David Garrard and Fred Taylor and some, Jeff Loggeman, Tom McManus, and many, many more. Donovan Darius. I hate starting naming guys because then you leave somebody out. But I'll say that in terms of a football moment, a cool one for me was in 2007 when the Jags became the first team to beat Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh twice in the same season.
I remember that, yeah. I
went to all the road games that year. It's kind of like 1010XL's road reporter. And so, back in the day in the 90s, at the 2-minute warning or right about then, they'd come through the press box, hey, if you want to go down on the field, now's the time. And at the 2-minute warning, they'd let you out on the sideline. And so I got to stand there like in 96. I was like a kid working at a radio station, didn't know what the hell was going on. And I'd be right there next to the bench and the place is going crazy. You could feel the air vibrating. And then 9/11 happened. And a lot of places curtailed access, and the Jags never really opened that back up again. But Pittsburgh continued that. So in 2007, Jags are mounting their game-winning drive. And I come down the elevator and I go to the sideline. And as I walk out on the sideline, Garrard runs for the first down on 4th down. And I make my way around to the end zone. And Scobie kicks the game-winning field goal, and it basically goes right over my head. And so then I make my way around to where the Jags are on the visitor side. And what was it? Was it Spicer forced a fumble or recovered a fumble there? Because the Steelers still had a chance to get the ball, try to get a game-winning field goal. I was 10 feet from the bench. And when they got the turnover, everybody rushed past me. And it was just amazing. I mean, to be in there in that, and I had nothing to do with it. I was just fortunate enough to be an observer and, have that opportunity to be there. And I've been in that kind of position for a lot of great moments, but that's one that really stood out because it was so beautiful watching not once, but twice Steeler fans leave that stadium early in some cases. Steeler fans think they're a step above everybody else. Hey, buddy, you got a coach who's never had a losing record. That's why it's easy to be a Steeler fan, right? You've had all this success, but let me tell you what, Jags had them on the ropes. Plenty of people were pouring out the turnstiles before those games were over. And it was a beautiful thing to see. And just to be in the midst of that, to see, I mean, that cemented David Garrard as a Jaguar legend, winning that game in the fashion he did. And, Scobie, we all love Scobie and many clutch kicks, and to kind of be there and watch it and to feel like we're almost there. And then telling you to just have everything, all these guys rushing past. I could have joined the pile, and I could have been jumping up and down with them, and nobody would have said a word.
Who's this guy?
Right. Like they would have been like, they probably would have thrown a flag on me at that point, but Jaguars ball wouldn't have mattered. But that's one that always stands out to me.
I actually saw David Garrard it was some event. I can't remember. Maybe it was a draft. Anyways, I try not to bother them when I see them in public.
Dave would love it. Dave's an easy, approachable guy. He would.
Yeah. He was with his family. So I didn't want to be like, hey, take a selfie. But I was like, David, I just want to let you know you're my Trevor Lawrence. And he was like, I appreciate that.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah.
And I asked.
David may skip leg day, but he does not skip bench press day. My man.
Oh, heck no.
I mean, he looks like a freaking LeVon Kirkland-sized linebacker.
Yeah.
Sorry, Cody. Didn't mean to cut you off there.
But. No, it's no problem. I asked Josh Scobie about that kick, and he said, I don't remember that one. I think he was just being funny.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine he probably was. I think he gets asked more about the 59-yarder to beat the Colts than he does about that. But, we're talking about Riley Patterson a little bit today. I had a guest on from CBS Sports, and we're also excited about where the Jags are, right? And building off of what they did last year. Everything Trevor Lawrence did could have stayed the same. If Riley Patterson doesn't make the field goal, then the focus becomes, you know what? Trevor Lawrence dug him a hole that they couldn't quite dig out of, right? Instead of, wow, look at this comeback and the poise that he showed under that kind of pressure, he never wilted. If you don't complete it, and that's out of his hands at that point in time. Sports is a funny thing, and obviously Patterson made it, and the Chargers are wondering how the hell we let that happen. And the Jags are thinking, man, we should have advanced even further than we did. And, but for the one kick going one way, every, history is completely different. Morton Anderson makes a field goal in 96. He never had that miracle playoff run. Who knows what kind of success the team has in 97, 98, 99, because they don't have that run to build off of.
The Justin Tucker kick last season.
Absolutely, right?
Barely. I sit on that side. Actually, Matt, you were at that game with me.
I was there with you, yeah.
You were at that game with me, yeah. So I sit on that side, and I remember seeing it and being like, oh, and then just went,
Sammy, if Trevor's pass to Zay Jones on the 2-point conversion gets broken up, right? I mean, that's all it takes.
Anything.
One fingertip knocks that ball away. It's a completely different outcome. Jags maybe don't win the division, but it didn't go that way. And we got one of the most thrilling seasons that we've ever had.
And the Titans are so mad about it, and I love it.
Big man.
They're melting down. Like, I made that meme yesterday about, oh, you guys barely beat us, and we signed DeAndre Hopkins, and we're just sitting there like, okay.
Yeah, like Trevor won't get better, right?
Right.
Like you've seen the best of what Trevor Lawrence has to offer.
Yeah.
Just wait.
And they're sitting there going, trying to juggle. Malik Willis now might be a starter. Like, come on. Sit down, guys. We got this.
I'm going to say no to that one in a big way.
No, that's what they're saying. He's showing out now, and
I don't
Levis
think there's
isn't
any
doing
way
that
Hopkins signs there unless he got some kind of assurance that it's Tannehill's team as long as they're in contention. I really do. I don't think Will Levis will play. I don't think anybody plays as long as Tannehill keeps them afloat in the playoff race. That's my
Tannehill, CBS Sports' Week 4 handoff quarterback of the week. That's what I'll never get over that.
Tannehill is
I'll never get over that.
But he's had some pretty good. He's had 120 quarterback rating season. He's had 106 or 7 quarterback rating season. He's not chopped liver, and for the way that team wants to play, he's definitely serviceable. They were the number 1 seed just a couple of years ago in the AFC. Didn't take advantage of it.
Wait. Who was their receiver then, though, Mike Dempsey?
A.J. Brown.
Yeah, that's right.
No, I get that. But
where'd he go?
Sure.
Sorry, it's just funny. No offense to the Titans. Just kidding.
DeAndre Hopkins played 17 games last year. He's on pace for 120 catches with 1,354 yards.
Yeah.
And we're all excited about a guy who's had one 1,300-yard season, and that happened 3 seasons ago in Calvin Ridley. So, I'm
just a little burnt because, you didn't hear nothing from them on Twitter. There were little things here and there. You heard about them a little bit after we played.
As it should be, though. Right.
But as of yesterday, I'm like getting like comments like, Jags fans, you guys are delusional and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, welcome back to Twitter, guys. How you been? What's been up? But do you guys do anything lately or something?
It's desperation. The writing's on the wall. Look, they try to move on from Derrick Henry this year. If they do, it's a complete rebuild, right? So what has Henry got? 1 more year there, probably. Tannehill will be gone. It'll be the Will Levis regime, and good luck with that. And
it's so funny.
Next year is going to be a start-over campaign for the Tennessee Titans, and we're going to revel in it because it's going to be just continue to build here in Duval.
I have a feeling that Jacksonville in Nashville in January is going to be the game to travel to. It's going to be
hopefully
good.
They got the division locked up by then, and we're we may be benching a bunch of guys that week.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Still win.
So then we can say what they say to us. Like, what do you mean? We are,
right.
Whatever.
DJ Beathard whipped your ass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Read it and weep.
No, so we'll close it out. I have one question for you. I know you're big fantasy. For those that don't know, Mike Dempsey also has I believe it's XM, correct?
Sirius XM, yep, do the fantasy channel and NFL radio a little bit as well, but 4 days a week right now on the fantasy channel.
Who would be your dark horse fantasy candidate for the Jaguars?
We talked about this, Cody and I, on the last pod a little bit. I don't think there are too many dark horses here because you kind of know who the established players should be. Most people are projecting Ridley to be the most productive wide receiver. Christian Kirk goes in like the 6th, 7th round of most drafts. Evan Ingram goes inside the top 10 tight ends. Travis Etienne's probably a little overdrafted to me because Tank Bigsby's the dark horse. I mean, look, today, was it yesterday? We're talking with Mike DeRocco of ESPN. We had him on Jaguars Today, and we talked about Bigsby's impact. And he said, look, he could end up being the goal line back, but he could be more than that. He could take 1, 2, or 3 drives away from Etienne. I mean, if he's getting whole drives to himself, DeRocco was raving about how much Bernie Parmalee, the Jaguars running backs coach, loves Tank Bigsby. I mean, they didn't need to. They signed Ernest Johnson, who would have been a serviceable number 2 for this team, but they went and spent a 3rd round pick on Bigsby. I think they have plans for him. And I think fantasy managers who are drafting Travis Etienne in the late 3rd to the mid 4th round, which is where he's going right now, may end up being a little bit disappointed some weeks because I think there's a chance there's going to be weeks where it's Trevor in the passing game, and I think there's going to be a chance that Bigsby becomes like the Stacey Mack to Fred Taylor back in the day, when Freddie gets you down to the 3 and Stacey Mack runs it in 10 times a season. That could happen.
Love to see it. I just hope we can keep
Jags are scoring, right? Yeah.
I just hope we can keep this same momentum and culture and just this winning culture and everybody being excited without Arden Key because, he really brought that here. So
he built this city on rock and roll and everything else. There's no question.
Something like that.
In all honesty, though, Arden Key is a good player. He provided a lot of energy for the Jaguars down the stretch. He did. And look, as meager as the sack total was, he's one of the top 4 sackers on this team, and your division rival takes him away. It's not an insignificant loss, but again, Arden Key, there was no starting job for him. He felt like he deserved a bigger role. Mm-hmm. He'll get that opportunity in Nashville, and maybe he'll prove to be a guy that benefits more from being a part-time player. Let's hope that's the case.
I could have made him the Boosie boombox holder or something, but sorry.
Could have, right? But everybody wants something, and look, if we're all there, it's easy for us to say, "Hey, Saquon Barkley, take your $10 million." You put yourself in that position to maximize it, and we also, guys leave in free agency. Oh, you greedy! Oh, Hopkins, you didn't go to the Kansas City for less money. Well, I don't know if any of us in this chat have ever turned down $10 million a year either. So, you know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, they're still human beings. They want to get paid like everybody else, and they have a finite amount of time to make that money.
Yeah. Yep.
You kind of brought up the running back roster. I know I said last question, but this one, it's a bit of a, the tight end room looks a little crowded, but I think the running back room, we forget the moves like Johnston, the move that we made for Johnston. Snoop Connor, who the heck is that guy that we drafted last year, right? Is there an odd man left out? Because I think technically we have 6 running backs on the roster, but 5 realistically, I think. Who do you think? Is there an odd man out?
I'm bringing up the depth chart right here. I mean, Snoop, Kadri Ollison also on the. Generally you keep 4, right, at the tailback position. D'Ernest Johnson's a really good special teams player, so he's got a chance to be active. But that's the thing. Once you get past the starter, you got to have special teams value. You got to have a specific value. I think they love JaMychal Hasty, what he was able to do as a pass-catching third down threat, and they've emphasized the fact that last year he didn't sign until like August, right? And he was learning the game plan on the fly all season long. So another year, a full year in the system will help him. D'Ernest Johnson was a guy that when he had to spell Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt on a few occasions in Cleveland, played like a workhorse feature back and really impressed me, is built to take a pounding. I don't think he's going to get touches in this offense, but he's a great break glass in case of emergency type. So I think Snoop Connor's gone off this team. I think it'd be a really uphill climb for Kadri Olison to make this roster as well. So I think they'll keep 4 and ETN, Bigsby, Dearness Johnson, and JaMychal Hasty. However you want to list those guys, I think they'll all be on the football team.
Man, isn't it so great to look at our roster and we have depth? You know, years past, I feel like once we got past 1 or even before started at 1, there wasn't a whole lot of depth there. It's just, I feel like we're getting spoiled now as Jaguars fans.
I wouldn't have hated it, honestly, if you went into the season with ETN, Dearness Johnson, JaMychal Hasty as year 3. But Bigsby, you know, has people excited, has opened a lot of eyes in rookie mini camps and OTAs. So, yeah, they've got depth there. They've got, skill position wise, best collective group they've had since Jimmy Keenan, Fred Taylor were all playing together. You know, really. I mean, you haven't had a wide receiver group this good since Jimmy and Keenan were together. And, you know, Travis Etienne needs to prove that he's even approaching Fred and MJD's level, but collectively, and then you add in Evan Ingram, who may be the most dynamic pass catching tight end they've ever had, even though it's only been 1 season. I mean, Trevor's got toys to play with. And look, Trevor Lawrence is at worst in my mind. I'll tell this to Dave's face, David Garrard. He's already the second best quarterback in team history. Right? I have to give the nod to Brunell.
Yes.
He was a 3-time Pro Bowler. He went to 2 AFC title games. I think Trevor will easily eclipse that in the next couple of years. And then it's just a question of how high he sets the bar.
Yeah. I think what says it the most is just people actually restructuring their contracts and like doing things that they need to do to be here. Man, that's just different as a Jaguars fan alone. Yeah. Okay. Like we're not used to this. Like people want to be here. Come on.
No doubt. Hey, you want to be a part of a winner.
Yes.
Feels good.
That's an obvious statement you just said, but I didn't put it all together until you just laid it out like that. But that's insane. Like the fact that we have this talent now compared to all the way back then, you know, it's
like which good player can we let go of? I don't know. It's just much different.
There probably will be a couple, right, that they let go of. You're like, wow, they were able to cut him, you know?
The pass catching core of, with Mike Sims Walker was pretty good, right? Right? Notable? No?
There were a couple of practices where he really stood out back in the day. By the way, Mike Sims Walker is one of my favorite guys to talk to in the locker room. Was always very accommodating, good guy. Just, you know, his body betrayed him, man. He looked like he might have been a steal for a brief period of time, but just never could stay healthy, you know?
Well, we've gone way beyond what we wanted to do. We really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us, Mike Dempsey. I know everyone that's watching really enjoyed your comments, and I think they enjoyed a few of ours as well, but thank you again.
Not as much.
Look, honestly, I don't take for granted what I do. Like I'm pretty down to earth guy, honest to goodness, no matter how much you think my ego may come through the radio. I'm honored to be asked to come on. You know, I'm like, I think it's fantastic that you guys do what you do. I think there's so many great avenues for Jaguar fans to make themselves a part of the story now and feel that sense of community. So I appreciate you having me, just to spread that goodwill of Jacksonville Jaguar football, and hopefully have many more occasions to do it. Yes. Please come back on AFC South Fan Battle. I promise you I will. Just for you, though, Sammy.
Thank you.
And don't forget about the nickname.
I know. Nickname for Cody. Matthew, any requests? You want me to cook something special for lunch tomorrow, or what do you want?
He said ham sandwich, please.
Ham sandwich. I got you.
Hold the mayo.
The Baselli burger. You remember the Baselli burger?
I do remember the Baselli burger.
Maroni bologna.
The Maroni bologna was another good one. Yeah, there's no question about that.
So for our viewers, where can we find you, Mike Dempsey?
All right. You can find me hopefully on the radio on 1010 AM or 92.5 FM in Jacksonville. Or if you don't live in Jacksonville, you can stream the show. It's on live 10 to noon. We post it every day shortly after we get off the air. You can go to 1010xl.com and catch that. I'm on channel 87 on Sirius XM Monday, Thursday, Friday nights at 10 p.m., Saturdays at 5 p.m. Right now, that's my current. It varies. And then when we get into football season, I'm usually doing NFL radio on Saturday nights from 8 to 11 as well. Occasionally a podcaster over at fantasyguru.com talking what else? Fantasy football. And on Twitter at MD_1010XL, where all those things are right there in the bio. So if you didn't have to have a pen handy, I appreciate everybody who checks me out in any format, but particularly 1010XL. That's the That's the one that makes it all tick for me. And on game day, Jaguar pre and post game show with JP Shadrick and Bucky Brooks and Fred Taylor and a great group of folks over there as well.
And if you can't catch them live, what I do is I just go to the Apple Podcast and I download the 1010 XL and just go through there and look at the Jaguars Today while I'm mowing the lawn or something. It's great.
There's a 1010 app too. I think
there's a 1010 app and a 92.5 FM app. I'm not sure why. There's two. Actually, I do, because sometimes if we have like live play-by-play going on, we'll have a talk show on one, we'll have a game on the other.
Oh, right.
Makes sense.
Generally, you can listen to either one for Jaguars Today. Which, by the way, I got to give a shout out. Tony Smith's been with me on the show every day. He'd be a great guest to have on. Tony's fantastic podcaster, one of my best friends, certainly probably the most important coworker I've ever had. We've worked together for years and years and years. ET was a great producer for a long time, but we're excited with Dylan Denmark. And, once we get in season, David Garrard Mondays, Jeff Lageman Tuesdays, a combo of Donovan Darius and John Ogier on Wednesdays, Mike DeRocco on Thursdays, Tom McManus on Fridays is the regular.
My favorite.
Routine.
Love Tom McManus.
I will make sure I tell him that.
He knows. He was on the show. He was the first football player.
Again. Trust me, I know Tommy.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you ever get Pete Prisco on your show?
Yeah, occasionally, but he's on every week with Frank Frangie. You know what I mean? So we all try to, like, Baselli's on every Monday with the drill in the morning. It's not like Tony wouldn't come on with us. We have him on occasionally, but we all try to have our thing, and we know that if you want Pete, you can go to the 1010XL app, download that segment, just listen to that every single. I think he's on Fridays with Frank and Hayes and Lauren in the afternoon.
And then we'll just round out the crew. Cody, where can we find you?
At Cody Cole Gaming, Twitter and Facebook.
And Sammy?
You can find me on Twitter at Sammy Football with an I, and of course on AFC South Fan Battle. It's at 9:30 Eastern on during the off season on Sundays, and then we move to Monday nights during the regular season at 9:30, and sometimes on here when they invite me for the diversity hire.
For the diversity hire, yes. You can find me on Twitter at Matthew G Sports. We also are the Jaguars Fan Battle, so we're on all the social medias. We're still working on our OnlyFans, but that's in the works. And again, we're part of the Fan Battle Sports Network.
I'll pay you to not do that.
You can go to fanbattlesports.com, find some awesome articles there written from us, and unfortunately the Mayo Lovin Titans as well, and other teams on the AFC South. But again, Mike, we really do appreciate you coming on and taking time out of your day to spend with us.
Thanks for the invite. I already got my 18 holes in today, so I was free and clear, baby. I do appreciate it, guys, and I'll come back and let's keep this thing going, and let's hopefully have a lot of Jaguar victories to celebrate together this year.
Yes, sure. yes.
And we'll end it on, come on, somebody.
Come on, somebody.